This is a 10-minute recap of Mark of the Fool Book 1 by J.M. Clarke. Following the recap, there's a short section detailing some of the fun Easter eggs Clarke sprinkled throughout the book. Now, on to the recap. On his 18th birthday, Alex Roth quits his job at a bakery, receives his inheritance from his deceased parents, finds out the Ravener is coming as part of its 100-year cycle, and learns the 5 heroes of Uldar are being selected to combat the Ravener and its monsters. The champion of Uldar is blessed with increased physical and combat-related abilities. The sage is blessed with a massive capacity to use magic. The saint is blessed with a great ability for channeling divinity. The chosen receives the benefits of all 3 of these marks, but to a slightly lesser degree. Meanwhile, the fool is actively impeded from learning and using combat, magic, or divinity, but is blessed with the ability to learn any other skill with tremendous speed. Alex receives the Mark of the Fool, and instead of becoming the defenseless servant of the other heroes, he decides to leave his country, Tameland, with his little sister Selena, his best friend and crush Teresa Liu, and her Cerberus, Brutus. Their destination? Generossi, home of the world's best university of wizardry to which Alex has been accepted based on his mastery of a single spell, Force Ball. While camping after leaving their hometown, Alex, Teresa, and Brutus defeat a silent spider that ambushed them. Alex uses his Force Ball, Brutus uses his 3 heads, and Teresa uses the sword she stole from her parents, one of the 2 that belonged to her famous great-grandfather, Twinblade Liu. In a stressful turn of events, the chosen of Uldar, Cedric of Clan Duncan, sees the aftermath of the battle and tells them he just defeated the Ravener spawn within the Cave of the Traveler. He also says that the priests of Uldar have surrounded Tameland in order to prevent Ravener spawn from leaving, and to sense the fool, the final missing hero, if he attempts to flee the country. Alex and Teresa decide to avoid the circle of priests and head to the Cave of the Traveler, where there are portals to random locations. The Traveler was chosen as Uldar's saint 3 cycles ago, and had unique abilities outside the Mark of the Saint that helped her open portals. Within the cave, Alex and company fight silent spiders, acquire some enchanted fire gems, kill the Hive Queen, and learn in the process that dungeon cores feed on fear. Alex learns he can use mana manipulation to control dungeon cores, and he is mysteriously affected by the Traveler's power while guiding it to destroy the dungeon core. Using the Mark of the Fool to control a dungeon core has crazy religious implications regarding the role of the Fool, the purpose of the Ravener, and the teachings of Uldar's church. From this point forward, Alex, Teresa, and Selena begin to pray to the Traveler instead of Uldar, since, she actually helps them instead of cursing them. Additionally, Alex sets a goal for himself to uncover the hidden secrets of Uldar, the Ravener, and dungeon cores while studying at Generossi. Alex retrieves the remains of the dungeon core and a book from the Traveler written in mysterious symbols. Then he, Selena, Teresa, and Brutus hop through one of the Traveler's many portals to the Rhynian Empire and book passage on a boat to Generossi. While aboard the ship, Captain Fandor and his brother Geldor teach Alex the spear and oar dance. The 3 of them work together to defeat a starved mana vampire that almost kills Alex. Alex learns the Mark of the Fool will strongly interfere with using any sort of weapon or direct attack, but won't prevent him from defending himself using more innocent movements like those from a dance. It also won't impede his use of general use items like mops. The mana vampire attack also encourages Alex to begin a physical fitness training regimen so he can be better prepared to defend himself and move around future battlefields. Alex and company arrive at Generossi, where Alex will learn to bend the forces of the cosmos to his unbreakable will, or however Hob the Registrar says it. Selena decides to join the junior school and Teresa audits life force enforcement. This is where she learns the art of life energy cultivation, a method of divinity from the homeland of her great-grandfather Twinblade Liu. Teresa also decides to start combat training with the Watchers of Roll, the warrior-wizard security force for the city of Generossi. Alex begins the first semester of his 4-year magical university studies with the following course load. Magic lore, because it's compulsory. The alchemy of potions, taught by Professor Jules because the mark would help him with the different recipes and with the mana manipulation required in their creation. The beginnings of mana manipulation, taught by Professor Valrock the Lizard Wizard, because again, the mark would help him with mana manipulation. Spells of Force, taught by Professor Ram, because the only spell Alex knows is Force Ball, and he figured it'd be a good starting point. The Art of the Wizard in Combat, taught by Chancellor Balin, because it would teach him the true nature of combat, survival, and adaptation. This fits well with Alex's catchphrase, think, adapt. He also selects the course because some random goat man in the library encouraged him to do so in order to become a proper wizard, which is now my wife's favorite phrase. Alex's goal during the semester? Excels so much in his magic courses that no one can possibly suspect him of being the fool. In the pre-course qualification for the Art to the Wizard in Combat, the students are tasked with reaching a natural tower within the Barrens alongside a group of fellow students. The purpose is to learn how to adapt and use all resources available. Each student is given spell marks that teleport them to safely when gravely injured, and permit Balin to observe them throughout the class. When teleported into the Barrens, Alex feels a familiarity with teleportation magic. He, Clarke, Thundar, and Isolde fight Mupakaras and a Bone Drinker along their journey to successfully reach the tower. After class, Alex asks Balin why priests aren't allowed on the campus of Generosity, to which Balin vehemently states, "Deities are parasites." Alex begins forming friendships with Clarke, Thundar, and Isolde using his preferred method, inviting everyone to feast on his delicious cooking. In his first Alchemy of Potions class, Alex specifically avoids sitting next to Isolde's cheater of an ex-boyfriend, Derek, and instead befriends a goblin named Kebis, who plans to constantly feed body enhancement potions to his crocodile named Harmless. Alex also meets Carrie London, an extremely devout follower of Uldar from Tameland. Professor Jules reveals that alchemy and mana manipulation are the basis upon which golems are made and used. Alex realizes that commanding a golem to fight for him would be the perfect way to avoid interference from the Mark of the Fool, while still being able to contribute during combat. Alex decides to take a tour of a local golem-making business called Shale's Workshop, and during the tour he recognizes that golem cores feel extremely similar to dungeon cores. He also learns that Shales will post job listings for assistant crafters in a month's time. Professor Valrock gives the mana manipulation students a puzzle box to practice mana manipulation. Due to Alex's extensive practice with a single spell, Force Ball, and the Mark of the Fool's assistance, the puzzle box and mana manipulation in general come very easily to Alex. Teresa's cultivation increases her strength and stamina significantly. Alex's situation with the Mark begins to change for the better when Teresa teaches him how to meditate, the skill of concentrating on a particular thing, acknowledging distractions, like those from the Mark, and letting them pass. Effectively, Alex can now use the Mark to improve his meditation, which in turn helps him defeat the Mark. In his first alchemy lab, Alex easily shows his mastery of mana manipulation and his knowledge of the information within the textbook. Professor Jules is impressed and asks Alex to stay behind. Alex shows her his mastery of the puzzle box, and she recognizes his talent for alchemy. Alex spends quality time with Selena by learning to sculpt clay in preparation for one day crafting the body of a golem. In the second outing for the Art to the Wizard in Combat, entourages are welcome. Teresa begins to attend, and Nua Oge brings Grimlock, a massive shark man. The task: capture 10 Vent Drinkers as a class. The purpose is threefold: learn how to capture enemies instead of killing them, experience different terrains, and learn how to work alongside non-wizards. Alex uses his innate skill to help people work together and alleviate group rifts. Minervus selfishly takes his flesh golems and tries to succeed alone. He fails and is kicked out of the course. Alex and the rest of the participants successfully coordinate to capture 10 Vent Drinkers. During one of his mana manipulation classes, Alex impresses Professor Valrock by quickly lighting up the entire puzzle box and is asked to stay after class. Alex reveals he wants to work at Shale's workshop. Valrock encourages Alex to challenge the exam for credit for mana manipulation. If Alex succeeds, Valrock will write a letter of recommendation to his personal friend Taraka Shale, the owner of Shale's workshop. In Alex's second alchemy lab, he quickly and correctly completes the lab, then helps Professor Jules with an emergency situation. Professor Jules invites him to join her personal research team as an assistant to her and her graduate students. If he continues to perform well, she'll also write a letter of reference to Taraka Shale, who also happens to be one of her close friends. Alex helps Professor Jules and her graduate students to summon a lesser Shaggoth in order to collect its chaos essence. Alex fetches tools, cleans, organizes, and learns that when used in golem creation, chaos essence can allow a golem to evolve. Alex is struck by the Shaggoth's innate fear aura and eventually manages to calm himself by going into the city and having a drink with Clarke. During their conversation, Clarke reveals himself to be royalty, a prince of Tekezash. Throughout the semester, Alex utilizes the Mark of the Fool to learn from his mistakes in order to strengthen and improve his Force Ball. He experiences significant physical improvements due to his training regimen and decides that while he still hates the restrictions in the Mark, he now has some positive feelings mixed in. Alex's little sister Selena has her mana tested in the junior school and learns she has a strong affinity for fire magic. She thinks fire is beautiful, but is horrified by her fascination and affinity since fire is what killed their parents. Back in Tameland, the 4 remaining heroes investigate the Cave of the Traveler, only to discover the dungeon core had already been destroyed. Heart Red Fletcher, the champion, makes a fun, offhanded comment. The fool's not with us, and we've already got a dungeon. Let them hide if they're hiding. Which is fun, since Alex is the first to destroy a dungeon core in this cycle of heroes. The Ravener felt that the first dungeon core was not only destroyed, but usurped, something that hadn't happened for many cycles. It follows a preset routine of instructions, or commandments, and creates 5 monsters to hunt the one responsible. Here's a quick look at Alex's spells and skills at the end of Book 1. Thanks for sticking around this long. Here are some fun Easter eggs J.M. Clarke sprinkled throughout the first book of Mark of the Fool. This one's definitely a Legend of Zelda reference. Fun fact, I meant to get this recap out about a week ago, but was delayed because I started playing Tears of the Kingdom. Here's a reference to Old Norse mythology. I loved this reference to Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. This is just a very typical view of Xianxia, or cultivation stories. I read this and thought of Hermione's quote, "I'm going to bed before either of you come up with another clever idea to get us killed, or worse, expelled." Obviously from Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling. Professor Jules over here ragging on Snape from the Harry Potter series. This is definitely a Wandering Inn reference, a series that's been on my to-be-read list for years now. I don't know if this one is a Harry Potter reference, but this is personally one of the main issues I have with Harry. I imagine everyone would be curious about magic if they were suddenly thrust into such a world. But nope, not Harry. Hello, Robin Hood. Fun fact, I've never seen Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This is a fun reference to an art issue real artists have, and now AI art generators currently have these issues as well. Here's a reference to the Sorting Hat from Harry Potter. I also saw a Cradle reference in the first part of it, but that's probably just being reading too much into things since I love Cradle so much, as you could tell by my many videos on Cradle. I'm positive I missed some of the many Easter eggs, so if you know of any more, please drop them in the comments below. And please like and subscribe for more content just like this.